Hey, welcome to today's conversation. Today we're going to be diving into the conversation around the stories that we tell and also the stories that we don't tell. In today's conversation, I want to break down some of the do's and don'ts if you want to be an impactful speaker and also if you want to be a transformational agent in your own life first. So one of the things that I do many times when I'm on stage is I ask people specifically around a negative experience that they've had in their life and the story that they believe to be true as a result of it. And the truth is, when we look at our reality, when we look at what is going on in our world today, in our internal world, and what we are creating, what we are co-creating, oftentimes it comes back to the story from childhood, the story we continue to tell ourselves. And when we continue to tell ourselves a disempowering story about something, we continue to find it in our reality because our subconscious is constantly looking for evidence to validate the stories that we are telling ourselves. So I want to start off today's episode with, what is the story? What is a story that you are telling yourself right now in your life that is disempowering you and causing you to play small, to not feel like you're enough, to not feel like you are lovable, worthy, whatever the story is? What is a story that you are telling yourself that it's time to press the expiration date on it, turn the page, and create a new story? So I'll give you an example. I've talked about this in a past episode. The dress story, me transforming a trauma into a gift. I did a conversation on that. If you haven't listened to that episode, feel free to do that. And I talk about being on stage and wearing a sparkly dress, that the last time I wore that sparkly dress, I experienced a traumatic event that happened that made me feel like it wasn't okay to shine, like it wasn't safe to shine. So that was my story that I had around that dress, but also the story that I had around really shining and being in the spotlight. To me, being in the spotlight meant being bullied. Being in the spotlight meant having people go against me. Being in the spotlight meant getting hurt. So naturally, what did I do? I got really good at not being in the spotlight, at starting to step back and be not as seen. When I flipped the script on the story and I wore that dress on stage and I reprogrammed my trauma into a gift and also into an empowering story, is that it's safe to be seen and I am meant to be seen. And this is something that I feel like is going to be a conversation that may come up many times in this podcast, because when we can fully transform our disempowering stories and flip them into empowering stories, we can become conscious creators. We become conscious creators of our reality. You are already a conscious creator of your reality. Sometimes you might just not know exactly what you are creating. So the question is, what is a story that you're telling yourself that you are done with? Maybe it has to do with finances. There's never enough. I can never make enough. Or I can never have that career or that successful business or that amazing relationship or that body or that health or that exposure in your business. Find an area right now that you are ready to flip the switch. You are ready to change the story. And what you're going to do is you're going to write down the story that you currently have, the disempowering story that you have right now, and then you're going to write a story that you would like to believe instead, a belief you would like to have instead of the story that you have right now. This is how you can become a conscious creator of your reality. And the interesting thing is, the fastest way to find out your belief systems, your deep core belief systems, isn't to look at what books are on your shelf. It's not to look at what you're saying out loud and telling people. It's actually to look at the results in an area of your life. So if you aren't really sure of a story that you're telling yourself right now that's disempowering, or that you want to change, you can look at an area of your life where maybe you aren't getting the type of success or fulfillment that you truly want. And that could be with your fitness. That could be with your health. That could be with your finances. That could be with your business. That could be with your relationships. There could be so many different areas. What is a result that you're getting that just isn't cutting it for you anymore? And if that is the result, what would the belief system that would match that result be? So let me break this down a little bit more. If your finances are an area that you struggle with, well, if you're constantly living paycheck to paycheck, or you never feel like you have enough, or you never actually feel like you have enough because you're always running out of money, you may have a belief system, a story playing in your subconscious mind that is saying, I'm never going to get ahead, or I never have enough, or I just have enough to get by. The opposite story that you can start telling yourself is, money comes to me easily and effortlessly, and there is always abundance around me. There is always opportunity to grow and expand my abundance. What this does, when we flip the switch, when we shift our disempowering stories to empowering stories, and we start to say them out loud and program ourselves around these new stories, our subconscious mind starts to look for evidence and opportunities to fulfill on that new belief system, on that new story. This specifically happened to me in my very first year of my coaching business. My very first year of coaching, I literally had no idea how to have a coaching business. I just jumped into it. I also ended an 8-year mentally and emotionally abusive relationship, moved into my own place. It was a big year of letting go and trusting the flow and God and the universe and just going all in. And I remember I had so many blocks around abundance and my identity. And when I started to go to the truth of it, I realized that I had a block around money because I was a woman. And I was like, oh my gosh, because I'm a woman, I don't feel that I can make X amount of dollars. And so what I did was I flipped that story into an empowering story of, I am a powerful woman with massive work to do in the world, and I am highly compensated. I am a powerful woman with massive work to do in the world, and I am highly compensated. And I would say that to myself every single day. I programmed it into my phone as a reminder, and I also had it on the wall in my office, so I would see it every single day. In that first year, I hit 6 figures in my business, and my business was bumping as a first-time coach and the first year of my business. And it was because I flipped the script on the story that I was telling myself. So I can't stress this enough, how simple it is, but also how powerful it is. And I really believe, and I know this to be true, that those of us that are willing to do the simple work consistently are the ones that are going to get results. And the ones that are like, oh, that's too easy, it's got to be harder, that's a belief system that you have, and you are co-creating a more challenging experience in order to get what you want. And that is a belief system on its own, that things need to be hard. Making money needs to be hard. Being happy needs to be hard. Being healthy needs to be hard. I can't have what I want. I can't have the relationship I want. I can't be fit. I can't be this. I can't be that. Okay? These are all stories and belief systems that at some point in your life you have programmed into your system, or the world around you has programmed into you, right? Because we receive a lot of information based on our upbringing and all of that, and a story that you are telling yourself on a consistent basis that you have chosen to be true. And because you've decided that it's true, you've created your reality around that belief system, and you consistently co-create that in every experience, relationship, and day of your life. So flipping the script, taking those disempowering stories and choosing an empowering story of what you want to believe to be true instead can change your life. Can and will change your life if you do it. So I'm just going to put a challenge out there right now, if you are listening to this episode right now, for you to write out the disempowering story, the story that you want to have instead. And I want you to read out those empowering stories, new beliefs, every single day, 3 times a day for 30 days, and then get back to me and let me know what changes in your reality. It is absolutely wild how quickly we can change our reality when we change our stories. So change your story, change your life. But first, we got to turn the light on, and we got to shine the light on what is the unseen, what are we not looking at, so that we can be conscious creators of choice. So that's the first part of this conversation. Part 2 of the conversation is around the stories that we tell others. Okay, so this is probably a 3-part podcast episode right here. We're flowing, my friends. So first part is personal. We got to do the inner work if we want to change the outer world. We have to do the inner reflection if we want to change the outer world. There's little to no bypassing it. You can do a bunch of plant medicine ceremonies. You can do all of these things, travel around the world, but if you're not actually doing the inner work and integrating it into your daily routine, it's just entertainment. It's just for fun. It's just a distraction. And I see that so much in these spiritual communities that I've been a part of. So don't be that person. All right. And if you are that person, just shift some things around. Look at yourself and say, how can I integrate this more into my everyday reality so that I can create true transformation? Because as humans, it's very easy for us to distract ourselves. I've done it, you've done it, we've all done it, but it's also to catch what's not working and make a change that's going to create lasting change in our life. All right. So now I want to talk a little bit about the stories that we tell. Okay. So first we're going to talk about the stories that we tell, that we talk to our friends about, that we talk to ourselves about. And then part 3 of this conversation is going to be around the stories that we tell in our business or our brand, or if you are wanting to start telling stories in your business and brand and blow up your business this year. That is a big part of what I teach and support entrepreneurs and leaders and coaches and those who are feeling called to create a change in the world do inside my Speak to Impact and Speak to Scale program. So one thing I really want to address is this energy of processing versus, we're going to say processing versus deciding. Okay. So in our healing journey, we go through this time of processing. We're processing information about ourselves. We're processing information about other people. We're processing. We have these traumatic experiences. We have these unpleasant moments, and we're processing it all. And then we're like, what does that mean about me? What does that mean about the world? What does that mean about my belonging? All of it. We start processing it all. And in that time of processing, we process emotionally. Hopefully we're processing emotionally, because when we process emotionally, we allow our emotions to move through us and not stay attached to us, which can turn into dis-ease. I talk a little bit about this in the Language of the Soul episode if you want to go deeper into that, where I teach a little bit more on the language of the soul and dis-ease. And so we're constantly processing information. And hopefully we're processing and we're moving through emotion. And oftentimes, as we are processing and moving through experiences, we're also sharing our words and sharing our experiences with others. And sometimes in these moments of processing, we can also blame others. We can blame others and point the finger of how all of these people have hurt us, have caused us pain, as, this is the reason why I'm not successful, or this is the reason why I'm not happy, or because this person said this to me when I was 5 years old, or because my parents, and it can be this thing. And there's this dynamic right now, especially with this healing movement that's happening right now, which is beautiful, but also to, an extreme of the pendulum, where a lot of us are stuck in this victim mentality of, oh, trauma has happened to me. I am the victim of this. This is the bad person. I'm the victim. And I want to be the first one to say that I do believe in being a true victim. I think there's a lot of people in the world that don't have genuine hearts and may have intentionally tried to hurt or traumatize you. And there's a significant larger amount of the population that have big hearts and didn't mean to hurt you and simply were a reflection or an opportunity for you to grow and expand and learn a lesson. And one of the things we need to be aware of, or I need to be aware of, and maybe this is something that you want to be aware of too, is how we show up when we're navigating these challenges. Are you operating from a place of being in the victim and staying in the victim, or are you stepping into the leader of your life? And I'm not saying that you don't have permission to cry or be upset or, whatever's going on in your life. Maybe that's a bad breakup. Maybe that's a bad business partner or something horrible just happened. I'm not here to discount anything that's going on in your world. What I am inviting you into to consider is how long do you stay in the energy of being a victim? How long do you let yourself stay in the energy of blaming the world around you? And I think that there's a healthy amount of time when we're going through things, when we're grieving, when we're processing, when we're going through change. And then there's an unhealthy amount of time where we can get into an identity of I'm the victim and the world is against me and I can't trust anyone. And that's not a great place to be. And I've been there. Okay. I've had my fair share of experiences where I'm like, I don't trust people and all the things. And to a certain point, it's helpful as you're starting to build and learn the lessons that you're here to learn, that soul school that we're all in. And then there's a point where something needs to change, where victimhood can either become your identity and you can stay in that energy of the world is against you and push away love, opportunity, abundance, joy, and everything that you truly want. Or you can say, you know what? I processed it. That's enough. It's time for me to be the victor and to step into being a leader. And this is the stuff that I love talking about. So the invitation here around the processing time when you are going through moments and time and phases of your life where you're experiencing turmoil, up and down, emotions, and big things are happening, to be aware of how long you allow yourself to stay in it, and also the words and the stories that you share with others on your reality. Because words, as we share our words, we cast spells of our reality, and words have vibration. So something to be aware of. So shifting the conversation a little bit here, we're talking about victim mentality. We've all had experiences of being a victim. And then there's the graduation of, okay, it's time to move on now. It's time to show up. It's time to do something differently. And one of my favorite things to support people with is to take their trauma, their pain, their challenges, and transform it into a gift. Transform it into an empowering story of transformation so that you can empower hundreds or thousands or even hundreds of thousands of people with your story, with your gifts, with your wisdom from your wounds. And so as someone who has built my businesses off of challenges to purpose and all of that, I truly believe that every single story, every single setback that you have, every single trauma that you've had, when it's past the point of you've done the healing work on it, there is wisdom in the trauma. There is wisdom in the experience that when it's brought together and shared on stage, on podcasts, in circles, in safe spaces, has the ability to wake people up and support them on their healing journey and encourage them to make the tough choices in their life, to have the difficult conversation, to leave the relationship, to go after their dreams, to trust their gut, to do that thing that everyone is telling them not to do, but that deep down they know that they're here for. And that is the power of sharing our story, with the masses, sharing it on stage. And I was in conversation with someone earlier today. A client of mine voice noted me and asked me, hey, Dee, we curated this story, because inside of my Speak to Scale program, we work on curating your story, your talk, and then getting you on stages and podcasts, and then learning how to monetize that in your business so that you can really impact a large audience, but also grow your business significantly. So this individual messaged me and was asking about their story, which we developed in a one-to-one session. And then they shared a part of the story that they didn't reveal to me. And the question was, should I add this in or can I leave it out? And the truth is, usually the part of the story that we don't want to tell when we are stepping into higher levels of leadership and being seen is usually the story that our audience needs most. I'm going to say that again. Usually the story that we don't want to tell, that we don't want people to see about us, is usually the story that our audience and people need most. And the reason why we want to lean into the icky, the not so pretty, the shadow parts of our past self and share that is to build trust, build connection, and also release the shame that so many other people who are going through whatever you've gone through, help them release the shame and the guilt and the sense of feeling isolated and alone, helping them release that and find a pathway to create freedom, to create transformation. And so when I was coaching this individual via voice note from my Speak to Scale program, I encouraged this person to lean into the story, even if it doesn't make them look good. A true transformational leader will share the things that don't make them look good, but also the lessons on the other side of it, because leading and going first is not always comfortable. It requires a certain level of courage. It requires a certain level of being seen, and also a deep level of trusting and accepting ourselves and putting ourselves out there. And that's what I love most about this story and stage work that I'm really focusing on right now in my program, Speak to Scale. And if you are a coach, a healer, an entrepreneur, and you're wanting to grow your business significantly in 2025 and beyond, reach out or just check the link below in the show notes for more information on the Speak to Scale program and book yourself a call to learn more, because this is the fastest way to make your impact in 2025 and also support so many people who need your message to help them transform their trauma into a gift in their life and also wake them up. And in the process, as we step deeper into our voice and into our leadership and storytelling, we also step into higher levels of embodiment. And this is a really powerful thing for me to witness within my own life, getting on different stages, talking about trauma, talking about different experiences that I've had, but also witnessing those that I've worked with really step forward and own all that they are. So if you are someone who's wanting to lead in a big way, make sure to click the link in the show notes and book a call with us to learn more about the Speak to Scale program and see if it's the right fit for you. And I hope that you have loved today's episode. I am so excited to have you here. If you haven't already, make sure to write a review for the show, take a snapshot, a photo of it, and email it to us at hello@radicallyaligned.com and get in to enter into win a $2,000 program, the Turn Your Light On transformational program, as a result of sending us a review. We're going to be doing a draw on a monthly basis, and we would love to hear how the show is resonating for you. Sending you so much love. And just one last note here, you have the power to transform your life by flipping the switch and transforming a story from your past experiences, and from a place of disempowerment into consciously creating everything that you desire. Have a beautiful day. Sending you lots of love. Mwah.